Whenever there is a change of leadership at any organization, all attention focuses on the impact and growth the new leader brings to fore. Since the confirmation by the Senate on October 18, 2023, Olukayode has led the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission with high visibility mandate to deepen prosecution, recover proceeds of crime, and strengthen cross-border cooperation. 2 years on, the Commission, under his leadership, has recorded a string of headline figures and operational milestones, a mix of courtroom victories and large-scale forfeiture, high-value cash recoveries, and new institutional partnerships. Under Olukayode, the EFCC pursued international reforms and regional partnerships aimed at making future investigations faster and harder to frustrate. Joining us now on the show to discuss the EFCC's growth under the leadership of Olukayode and how the agency intends to improve its operation is Wilson Uwujaren, Director of Public Affairs at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Great to have you, Oga Wilson, and good to see you again, Wilson Uwujaren himself. I mean, as we celebrate and we look back, you know, since Mr. Olukayode got in there, the question is, number one, what are the milestones? What are the big milestones? But also, what are the knocks you have received? Based on some of the knocks, people say that the EFCC make a lot of noise about cases, but they don't get conviction. A lot of people are still even looking at some of the cases. They're saying, okay, Yaya Bello's case is up. You know, many other cases are up. So there are kudos and there are knocks at the same time. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, Rufai, for that question, and it's my pleasure to be with you this morning.
Yeah.
The last 2 years of the leadership of Olukayode of the EFCC, I would say, has been very, very impactful. That, for me, is not surprising. He is somebody who came to the job rather fully prepared for the assignment, bearing in mind that before his appointment, he had served previously as the Chief of Staff to an acting chairman of the Commission, and was also Secretary to the Commission at a point in time. So he knew the Commission inside out, and he was unmistaken in setting his agenda when he appeared before the Senate for confirmation. He actually told that august body that he had 3 priorities as far as he's concerned. That first of all, he wanted to use anti-corruption to stimulate the economy. And also he said he was going to work within the ambit of the rule of law. And thirdly, that he was going to enforce professionalism within the EFCC. On those 3 scores, I think he has performed excellently well in the last 2 years. On the score of stimulating the economy, when he came on board, part of the initial step he took was to set up a task force on naira abuse and dollarization of the economy. And that saw operatives of the Commission going around tackling naira racketeering and also tackling those who were engaged in round tripping. Those activities were part of what we thought were responsible for the free fall of the naira at the point in time, the value of the naira at the point in time. And when we took that step and actually got a number of people prosecuted for naira abuse, there was some kind of stability in the value of the naira. And that, to us, is the measure of the effectiveness of some of the steps that he took initially. And that was in collaboration with some of the monetary policies that the CBN also adopted. Apart from that, in terms of concrete terms, Nigerians can see, for instance, that he was very, very intentional in terms of prosecuting corruption cases. Over the last 2 years, we have charged around 29,000 cases has been investigated, and over 10,000 have been charged to court. Within that period, we secured 7,503 convictions. But in terms of recovery of assets, where we made really landmark achievement over those 2 years, we have recovered hundreds of billions of naira and tens of millions of dollars. Usually when you talk about figures of recoveries, Nigerians will ask you, where is the money? We say you have recovered billions of naira, millions of dollars. Where are the monies? And the suspicion of people is that probably we sit down in our office and share those money, which is not the correct situation. But over these 2 years that I'm talking about, Nigerians can see evidence of how proceeds of crime are being utilized by the government. I will cite 2 examples. For instance, we have the student loan scheme and the consumer credit scheme. Part of the proceeds of crime recovered by the EFCC was invested as take-off grant for those schemes. 100 billion, for instance, was invested, 50 billion for the student loan scheme and 50 billion for the consumer credit scheme. You can imagine what this will do for social inclusion in our country. Students who otherwise would not have benefited from tertiary education now had the opportunity to benefit because of funds that the Commission recovered. If you talk of the not liquid asset that we recovered, for instance, you have 753 units of duplexes in Abuja, the most important recovery that we achieved last year. Is there, government will decide what to do with that. But if you look at what we also recovered in Kaduna, the Knock University, for instance, government took the measure, after the final forfeiture of that asset, government took the decision to convert it to a federal university of applied sciences in Kacha, Kaduna State. The students who will benefit from the asset in that institution will be the direct beneficiary of the proceeds of crime recovered by the EFCC. And that, for us, is a monumental investment in manpower development in the country. But if you talk about the challenges that we have, or what Nigerians will say are the downside, cynicism is always there. People ask, why is it that you are focusing more on cybercrime rather than politically exposed persons? Absolutely. But they don't realize the damage that cybercrime does to the economy of Nigeria.
All right, let me come in there,
Cybercrime is a big deal.
Yes.
Sorry,
we're almost out of time, Mr. Uwujaren, and I really want us to also talk about some other things. I'm glad you talk about politically exposed people, because the amount of money that these, politically exposed people take out of Nigeria is quite significant. But let me speak about one initiative that Mr. Olukayode has proudly achieved, and that is the special task on against naira abuse and dollarization of the economy. You've been able to secure 35 convictions for naira crime, but I think the other part of it has not really been very successful, which is dollarization of the economy. We see adverts where people advertise properties listed in dollars, school fees in certain schools in Nigeria in dollars. These are very obvious cases. Why is the EFCC not going after them? Because we know that there's a special task force. You are working against, abuse of the naira, and to be fair, that has significantly reduced. But how about the dollarization of the economy?
Well, I agree with you that still exists. It's something that the Commission is still working. The task forces have not been disbanded. They are still working across our zonal commands in the country. And when we find evidence of that, we take deliberate actions to stem it. And we are working on that, I can assure you. And if the members of the media also, when you spot some of these things, we also rely on information from members of the public for us to be able to tackle those things. But beyond the issue of dollarization, I also want to talk about the external reforms that the Executive Chairman has carried out within the EFCC, which is actually responsible for the successes that we are recording in enforcement action. For instance, morale of the staff has improved because of the improvement in staff welfare that he has brought about. He has also reformed our structure. For instance, we have the zonal commands that we used to have been transformed into directorates, which have increased the level of mobility in terms of career advancement for staff. And 3 new directorates have also been created by him, one in Ekiti, another one in Katsina, and the last one in Anambra State. That has the tendency to bring the Commission more closer to the people. And those who want to file complaint, instead of traveling long distances, have the avenues to go quickly to the next zonal commands to file their complaints. Staff also have been provided with CNG buses, especially in the headquarters, so commuting to office is much more easier now than before. And also, based on our response to feedback that we get from the public, he has also initiated a number of policy reforms. For instance, we now have a policy on sting operation. We have a new policy on a new gifts policy, which that provides a kind of grand norm on what staff are to do when they are giving gifts outside. You know what gift to accept and what not to accept. We also have a policy on exhibit room security. Those are issues that emanate from the response to feedback that we get from members of the public.
Okay, so thank you so much for that insight. Now, as we round up this conversation, I'd like to focus on the issue of media trial, because I remember when Mr. Olukayode came into into office, one of the things he emphasized was that under him, there would be no media trial. But what we continue to see is a lot of these cases playing out in the media, which creates a lot of public interest. But then we don't get the final conclusion, which leaves the public to, to sort of assume what the outcome could be, especially those political ones that we've seen come up. They are a huge conversation. We have heard that some people are invited. After their invitation, we never hear about it. At most, what we'll see is maybe some people moving from one party to another political party. We don't know whether it's associated. But I'd love for you to speak to the goal that had been created to tone down on media trials. But what seems to have played out is a continuation of media trials.
Thanks for that question. If I was not a staff of the EFCC, I would probably share your own sentiment. But I can assure you that there's nothing like media trial, especially within the EFCC. What normally happens, once people are invited, for instance, to appear before the commission, they make that information available to their associates and friends. And before you know it, the news is out there. The commission has no control over what you tell people about an invitation, for instance. But we don't go out of our way to share information on invitation and all that. But when a matter is charged to court, it becomes a matter in the public domain, and the media is free to talk about it. You can go to court and obtain charges and all that. It's not within the control of the commission. But coming to the issue of maybe investigation, and after investigation, 1 year, 2 years, nothing has happened. It is not peculiar to Nigeria. I can describe this as the best practice everywhere. FBI can be on a case for 5 years and nobody has been charged to court. People don't make noise about that. The last time I was watching one of the international network when the FBI went to the home of the former National Security Advisor of the U.S., John Bolton. Nobody raised issue of political victimization in that circumstance. But if it was in Nigeria, people would say, because it's no longer...
No, they raised, though. Mr. Uwujaren, that's a very bad example. They raised. They raised talks about political victimization. Don't tell us about John Bolton. We know it. They raised. They raised it.
Okay, people
use another example. Use another example.
Mr. Uwujaren, we're out of time.
Okay,
do you want to just round off your statement, your thoughts in one statement, in one sentence?
Well, the good thing is that I think, on the whole, Mr. Olukayode has acquitted himself remarkably well in these first 2 years of his stewardship. And I would expect Nigerians to give him maximum support to do more as he moves into the second part of his 4-year term as Executive Chairman of the EFCC. He has shown capacity, he has shown competence in the job, and I believe Nigeria stands to benefit from his leadership going forward.
I wish we had more time to really dissect your statement, but I believe Nigerians are in the best position to determine and to vote as to how well he's done. Well, congratulations to him again on his 2nd year anniversary.